This week on the podcast, I read my children's book, Wrestling Dreams, to some kids in Baltimore. I supported the troops by a wrestling forum, and my mom gives her thoughts on her grandson, MJF. Enjoy the show.
This is the Art of Wrestling with professional wrestler Colt Cabana.
All right, how you guys doing? Come on in, sit down, relax. You're about to listen to the Art of Wrestling, a professional wrestling podcast. It's a life podcast. It's a personal journal. It's an entry way into the minds and souls, the hearts and lives of people involved in the world of professional wrestling. I'm your host. My name is Colt Cabana. I'm an author. I'm a reader of just books under 25 pages. I'm also living that military life. Not really. Most importantly, though, I am a professional wrestler, and I am sitting here live in my studio apartment in Chicago, Illinois. Before we go any further, this fan-supported, listener-supported podcast supported by people just like you. We give it to you free of charge every single Thursday. ColtCabana.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts from. A couple great ways that you could support. Rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes just like Johnny Logic. Email me your address, sir, and I'll send out an autographed Japanese DDT ticket for you. You can also use social media. You can spread the word, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or the best way that you can support, ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com, t-shirts, buttons, pictures, posters, DVDs, that children's book. Micro Brawlers are back in stock, so much more. ColtMerch.com. DigitalColt.com. Bit of a shorty for you today, and as I say that, who knows how long I'm going to talk, but I can only assume. Not much recording, but I will give you the whole scoop on the weekend. And it did start off with me at the Essex Public Library in Baltimore-ish, Maryland, as through Ring of Honor, I got this fun opportunity to meet with some kids and to read them my book.
All right, folks, good afternoon. So, with us today is ROH wrestler Colt Cabana. He's gonna read his book for you. Do you guys know he has a book coming out?
No.
Yeah. Once he's done reading, we'll do an autograph session and photo session. And if you could just give him his undivided attention, parents, make sure you're with your children. And turning the floor over to Mr. Colt Cabana.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm going to read my book to you. It's called Wrestling Dreams. Maybe we could all kind of move in a little bit and gather around.
Gather around. You can bring the chairs
Bring some
over.
chairs.
And I guess this would be a perfect time to plug a giveaway that I'm doing on my Instagram of this very book. Check out my Instagram feed. I posted all the details. We're going to try to get these books in more libraries, and we're going to try to give you some free books at Colt Cabana. Ring of Honor is where I was at this Friday and Saturday. Baltimore, Maryland, Fairfax, Virginia. And I'm having a little trouble finding stories within Ring of Honor because I just go and commentate. And I've kind of realized that the stories are usually in me wrestling and who I wrestle and then something that comes about that. But, I mean, I don't want them to make this the me and Ian Riccaboni show, so although that wouldn't be awful. He's an interesting cat. But it was an easy weekend. You know, Ian and I, we did the pay-per-view. We talked our obscure references that will make pay-per-view and television. And I got to kick your leg out of your leg reference in as a nice shout-out to the late, great Owen Hart. And, oh, fuck. Speaking of late greats, let's do that right now. You know, Matt Capitelli was on my podcast years ago, and I like to play a little clip from that podcast so you can just hear what a great human being Matt Capitelli is.
And I get people all the time that know my story or hear of my story and tell me that they had somebody in their family, friend that had a brain tumor, brain cancer, whatever it might be, and it was 20 years ago. And at that time, it was just that. They're like, we're very limited on what we can do. And they either, passed away or they're severely disabled, which could have been the case for me, too.
Are you cancer-free now, or
Yeah.
just 100% cancer-free?
I go back actually in 2 weeks for my 9-month MRI. And then after this one, if this one's clean bill of health, man, it'll move to every 12 months. So once a year, I'll just get checked.
And this is a great story. Like, it's just a triumph story, yeah?
It is, man. And there's been a lot of ups and downs through this. Like everybody has their own, but this is my story.
Yeah, what comes out of all of it, like that's different from before, or what an experience like this makes you as a man or as a person.
Yeah, man. I think I was rooted in my faith before this happened. And it was kind of like that was was a lot of what got me through and kept me focused on knowing that this, regardless of how crazy I think it is and how I can fathom it in my own brain, it's like this is part of God's plan somehow. And through everything that I've done, like if I look back at football, wrestling, everything that I've been able to do, I've made more of an impact in people's lives and done more positive things post this happening. And it's like I've been able to use this story and what's happened to me to like help a lot of people. Like I've spoken to different organizations, churches, schools, children, adults, whoever it might be, and it's just like, man, it's been used to reach a whole different audience that I never would have been able to get to.
If you didn't know, I hope you knew. I hope it spread enough, but Matt Capitelli passed away. His cancer came back. He got another brain surgery, and almost exactly a year afterwards, he passed. And if we could just, I don't know, always keep him in our minds. I'll share a story. I knew Matt before I ever got into professional wrestling. He was on the Western Michigan University football team with me. I only played football for 1 year. I redshirted, so I didn't really ever play. For some reason, I really couldn't or didn't make any friends on the football team. I think it was a matter of, you're a star in high school, and maybe it's a little easier, and then you go to college, and you're the worst guy on the team, so everyone's just like, you're just a joke. And maybe I wasn't as outgoing enough to make friends, but it was hard for me. And one of the very first meetings of all the freshmen on the football team, we were in the computer lab for some reason, and we had like 10 minutes to kill. And I, of course, was on wrestling websites. Woo Wrestling was one of my favorites at the time. And I remember Matt Capitelli looking over and just being like, what are you doing? And I kind of explained the world of independent wrestling to him at that time. And we became buddies a little bit. He was probably one of my only friends on that football team. And a couple years later, he knew that I was doing independent wrestling. I was traveling all over the United States, and he would kind of ask me about it. He was very curious about it. And then about a year after that, showed up on Tough Enough. He won Tough Enough, and he got himself a WWE contract. But for some reason, that's something that always stuck in my mind, was looking at the 1998 dirt sheet internet, Matt Capitelli being curious. Next thing you know, we are both the only workers that came out of that Western Michigan University football team. This is where I would probably put an ad to break up the monotony, but I don't have an ad this week. You can go to Pro Wrestling Tees, put in the code AMERICA, and get 20% off anything you want. I recommend ProWrestlingTees.com/Colt Cabana. There was a story of this week, and it was me at the Naval Base. I took a random show on a Monday. I'm also, spoiler, I'm going to take a random show on a Tuesday, but I'm recording this on Monday because of 4th of July festivities. It's the only time I'll be able to edit this up. So I had the day of rest on Sunday, and then Monday I headed a little bit north to the Naval Base. So even though I had the 2 shows with Ring of Honor, and a lot of people have the July 4th weekend, I decided to take this show in Great Lakes, Illinois, on the Great Lakes Naval Base. And mainly because there's a wrestler named Ben McCoy, who I've known for years, and he went and served our country and has a crazy story to tell about it, too. So I'm excited. This is, I think, for the troops, and I'm going to go wrestle him, and I'm going to get him on this very podcast and tell his story, because it is a pretty wild one. So we'll intertwine his story and the story of wrestling on the Naval Base of Great Lakes. Seems like a proper song. First of all, let's explain where we're at and why we're here.
We are at Naval Station Great Lakes in North Chicago, and we are here doing the Rock, White, and Blue Festival for 3 days, which we just concluded the first day, and now we have 2 more days, July 3rd and 4th, open to the public, with 2 shows each day.
But you've given me an option to pick and choose my days.
I most certainly have. I make exceptions.
The first day that we just did, that I'm doing right now, isn't as packed because this is only for military, is that right?
That's correct. Only for military. The public gets opened up tomorrow and the next day, and the average attendance on those days are insane.
And so right now it's just rides. there's a Harley Davidson open. There's some carnival food, very carnival, and then the wrestling ring is over here in the corner, like where wrestling should be, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then, but tomorrow all the big stuff comes. Theory of a Dead Man comes to town to do the main stage. Then you have Royal Bliss over there as well for main acts there. They have a bunch of gymnastic acts and everything like that, as well as war memorabilia for people to see. And then they can come over to the wrestling on the afternoon side of things and catch the hot action.
So you booked this. You're the promoter. You got this. How did you get this to be a show?
I just called them. I was on the phone and I said, hi, my name is Ben Monty. I run Frontline Pro Wrestling. I'm an Army veteran, and I run a wrestling company that is to benefit Army veterans and to benefit the active duty military. And I would like to come and do a show for you. And it kind of snowballed from there.
And that is your promotion, Frontline Pro Wrestling. What do you mean it benefits the active duty?
When we come here to do the shows this was something that we didn't have to do. Like, they were just going to have us for the public, but I specifically requested that we do something just for the military and their families, because they deserve to have kind of like that VIP treatment, just because it's something nice to do, especially for active duty personnel.
Yeah, but is there other shows besides this show that you do? I don't explain that.
Okay, so the very first show we ran was March 24th, and Frontline Pro gives back to nonprofit veteran organizations. The first one we did was for suicide prevention and awareness. I have lost 14 guys to suicide since 2014 that were in my unit in Afghanistan or in basic training with me. So the first show we did was for the Brady Oberg Legacy Foundation out of Minnesota, and that show we raised over $3,200 for the foundation to help, because what they do is they actually give veterans a chance to have tutors, as well as pay for their books to do schooling to become psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, PTSD trauma survivors, like group leaders and things like that. So they help them with education and to help other veterans in fields like that.
And can you tell a little bit of your story?
Sure.
Was that it? Sure. Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. It's no big. By this time, I'm used to it. And actually, my Alive Day will be just over a month from now, next month.
Your Alive Day, which I don't know if that's a thing.
It is. It is. So in the military, you have this thing called an Alive Day. The Alive Day is the day.
But let's start. Before going into duty, you were wrestling.
Yes, I was a wrestler from 2005 to 2010, and then I left to join the Army. And I wanted to do something with meaning in my life. Not that I didn't love wrestling. I loved it. It's just I wanted to do something that mattered. I wanted to do something that...
Hey.
Well, like for me, I wanted to do something that my kids could look back on and be proud of me for. And so wrestling was awesome, and I loved it, but it wasn't paying the bills, and I wasn't an international superstar or anything great. I was just a guy who was, I wasn't bad, I wasn't good, I was just kind of there. And so then I joined the Army. I was literally at my duty station for 3 weeks, and they were like, Afghanistan. And so then I was in Afghanistan 3 weeks after getting there. I was there for actually 26 hours before I got the letter saying you're going to Afghanistan out of basic training. So it was kind of a shock to the system. And so I went to Afghanistan, and in August of 2011, I was shot in the face by a sniper. The bullet came from so far away that it tumbled and flipped over like a field goal kick. It went in backwards, hit me in the mouth, and stopped in the back of my jaw. The only reason I lived is because it went in backwards. Had it went straight, it would have blew out the back of my neck. I would have lost all my blood and died. Because it would have severed all my arteries. So
wait, so the backwards bullet was lodged in there?
Yes, it stopped. I have a picture. I have a great picture of it, an X-ray picture of the bullet in my face, just sitting there, like somebody sat it down where my teeth used to be. So it's a crazy thing. So since then, I had 14 facial reconstructions, 17 overall procedures, 6 seizures. I had to learn how to walk again, talk again. I had a Dopop feeding tube in my nose for 2 months before I could eat anything. I looked really sexy, though. I was very slim. I was very slim, slimmer than I've ever been.
That's something I would say. I feel like, if that could only happen to me, so I could lose 30 pounds.
So I was in medium T-shirts, which seems like a lifetime.
The goal. That's the goal.
So that was like a lifetime ago. But then I did that. I retired out of the Army. They retired me out, medically retired. I moved back home to Wisconsin because Tim McGraw, the country singer, gave me a house. With my family through Operation Homefront, and flew us up for Summerfest because he did a 31 city tour where he gave 31 soldiers a free house. So now I have my house. And
how did you get picked for that? Was there like a lottery?
They asked everybody on Fort Sam Houston to give their stories, and he was going to pick one of the soldiers from Fort Sam Houston. and he picked my story. And he just happened to be in Milwaukee. The house I wanted happened to be in Kenosha, which is just south of Milwaukee. And they were like, hey, let's give the Milwaukee guy a Milwaukee area house.
So if you're listening, choose his story. Give him a second house.
No more houses. I'm good. But come out and support Frontline Pro Wrestling.
Well, I was going to say, but so your whole face essentially exploded. You couldn't talk, you couldn't walk, you couldn't do anything. And now maybe let him know what happened tonight.
And now tonight I got to wrestle Colt Cabana.
Well, I don't want you to say it like this is like some big giant yay.
It was on my bucket list, though. It was on my bucket list.
But you're wrestling.
Yeah, I'm wrestling now. So what happened was I went and moved back here. I bought a ring and was renting it out to people for about a year. And then my one buddy, Steve, who's going to hate me for bringing him up, kept being like, I see you rolling around in the ring. You can do this. Like, you can do this. And I was like, I don't think you're right. And finally, after like 4 or 5 months of like not shutting up, I was like, fine. And I went and I talked to my doctors, and one by one, they kind of all gave me the okay to come in back to wrestle. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, wait a minute, like this shouldn't be possible. Because I went to my neurologist, I went to my endocrinologist, I went to my ear, nose, and throat doctors, and just everybody, my dental people, and my psychiatrist, and everybody that I had to go see. And because it was what they like to call a controlled environment, and in their words, live action theater, it was something where the risk was at least never intentional. Whereas like you do semi-pro football or MMA or boxing or something like or hockey, you're intentionally physically harming other people as part of the sport. So they were able to give me the okay. And then I went to my wife thinking she'd be like, no. And she looked at me and said, you haven't left the house in 6 weeks. You're driving me nuts. Get the hell out of here. And I said, well, okay, then I love you. And she said, yeah, I love you too, but just go find something. You need a hobby. And so then I came back in 2014. I did a match and did what anybody else would do after wrestling a match. I got to wrestle my best friend in front of 2,000 people at the Waukesha County Expo Center for GLCW. And then I took a whole year off and did nothing. Yeah. And then I got talked back into coming back again. And then I've been back ever since from January of 2016 to now. I've been back.
This is great, and I feel like I feel good about myself. I feel I'm doing, like, not as much as you're doing, but I feel like I'm doing something. I mean, like, in terms of, like, good spiritness, not wrestling, but, like, yeah, this is, if I can make, not that I understand, but the military, and they do so much for us, and sometimes I feel like a schmuck when you go out and try to save the world, and I just sit on my couch and wrestle people, but I feel, like, this was obviously for the military families, and the kids were having a good time tonight, and I don't know, I felt like I was doing a good deed. We'd call it a mitzvah in my people, so thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. Like I said, I think the main reason of doing this is to just show that we don't have to treat the military or veterans especially like Santa Claus. It doesn't have to be, well, Veterans Day is November 11th, so that's when I'm going to celebrate veterans. It can be a year-round thing. Like, they need our help more than just once a year. So I think that's the big stigma that I hate, is that a lot of times you get kind of bitter and you're like, well, yeah, because like everybody's like on that one day is like, oh, thank you, and then nobody talks to you. And so by doing this, it's kind of my way of not just talking about it and doing something and giving back. And we worked two great nonprofits with the Brady Oberg Legacy Foundation and In Country, which is building transitional homes for soldiers that are transitioning out of the Army or the Navy or whatever branch they're in into the civilian life, and giving them free housing for 3 to 4 months to get back on their feet, get a job, reacclimate into the civil world, as well as giving them academic financial classes on how to handle their finances when they get out of the military. So we've got to do things like that. We have a lot of more organizations that we're going to be working with coming up here in the future, and it's wrestling for an actual cause. It's actually something that we're giving back to communities, and I don't want to just stop there. I want to do firefighters and police officers, teachers. I want to do a teachers night. I want to give back to the people that
podcasters.
Yes, podcasters. I want to give back to the people who always give us stuff and then never expect anything in return. So that's the goal of all this.
Oh, you're such a better person than I am.
And this one was a small, intimate little crowd, but a lot of kids. And I haven't done that in a while. And it felt great. Just wrestling kind of towards the kids, getting the kids going. I do a lot of these kind of like, I don't know, quote unquote smart mark shows for 18 to the 34s. And, I know how to play that audience, but I really, really like playing towards the kids and getting them to smile and enjoy themselves. And that's exactly what we did. And Ben and I had a really nice match. And I feel good about myself. Hey, that's all right to say, right? I'll be back tomorrow, but you're not going to get updated about it. You're not going to know if there's 30,000 people there. You're just not, you'll never know. Maybe follow my Instagram stories. That's the only way you'll know. Oh, wait, it'll be gone by then. Oh, you're fucked. You're fucked. I'm not the only one who likes kids. My mom, she may or may not like her grandson, Maxwell Jacob Friedman Cabana. We're going to get her opinion right after these plugs and
upcoming events.
All right, the best way that you can support ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com, Twitter and Instagram at Colt Cabana, Facebook/AOW Podcast, also /Colt Cabana. Each week, I'm going to choose one person who reviews and rates 5 stars on iTunes, and I'll send them a signed show ticket from the Japanese promotion DDT. I got a storytelling podcast, Pro Wrestling Fringe, plus past archives of the show are ad-free on StitcherPremium.com/Colt. Use the code COLT, get a free month. ColtWrestling@gmail.com. It's my very public email. Maybe you're a promoter, want to put me on your upcoming show or convention, or even be documented on this very show. I got a YouTube channel. I also got a website, ColtCabana.com. That's where you can send something fun to my P.O. Box. Upcoming this Saturday, July 7th, Dublin, Ireland, OTTWrestling.com. Sunday, July 8th, London, England, RevolutionProWrestling.com. Friday, July 13th, Seattle, Washington, DefyWrestling.com. Saturday, July 14th, Los Angeles, California, Facebook/Bar Wrestling LA. July 20th and 21st, Nashville and Atlanta. I'll be doing commentary, ROHWrestling.com. Friday, July 26th, Waterloo, Iowa, NWHOF.org. And August 3rd through the 26th, Edinburgh, Scotland, the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, edfringe.com to reserve those tickets. It is pay what you want, but make sure you get a seat. Brandon Burns and I are going to do a show every single night at 11 p.m. I'll get back home. I'll be doing AAW. I'll be doing the StarCast on Sunday, September 2nd. I believe I'm also doing a eat and greet where you can have lunch with me. Lots of stuff going on that weekend. Hope to see you there. Intro music by the Ukulele Teacher on YouTube. Outro music by Superfun, Yeah, Rocket Ship. Podcast cover art and design by Jimmy Lee. Photo by James Musselwhite. Thanks to Ben McCoy for coming on the show this week. Sponsors, highspots.com, a VOD service that's amazing. Kevin Steen's show, Poppin' Hogs, Watching Dogs, $5 Wrestling. They also have AMA knee pads, gear, masks, and a wrestling ring. 1hourtees.com. They help run ProWrestlingTees.com. They help run ProWrestlingCrate.com. Don't forget 20% off all your orders with the code AMERICA. The promo ends tomorrow. All right, here we go. Hashtag AskCabanaMom. That's where you tweet me at Colt Cabana. Use the hashtag AskCabanaMom, and you ask her something you want to know about professional wrestling. You got to include a video or a picture if you want her to kind of elaborate on something. And this week, at Heavy, SET330, he linked a promo to MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman Cabana, who on the AIW and AAW show was revealed to be my son. And he asks, what does Mama Cabana think about her grandson?
Hello, this is Mama Cabana from her studio apartment in Chicago, Illinois. Hope you had a nice 4th of July yesterday. So I see Max Jacob Friedman, and he is adorable. So of course he's my grandson. We only have handsome people in our family. And it is possible, very possible, that Colt got somebody pregnant when he was 18. And the time difference would be perfect. Maybe on his prom. Who knows? You know what happens at proms. But I would like a little baby grandchild to cuddle in my arms and to babysit. So maybe one day he will have another baby. And as far as Max's attitude, I loved it. It's right from the Colt Cabana family. He has a great attitude and he's moving forward. He has ambition and chutzpah, like a great Jewish wrestler should have. So that's it for this week. I love my job as Mama Cabana. It's so much fun, and I hope you're enjoying it. So until next week, thanks!
Well, there you have it. My mom has a crush on my son. Very weird. All right, this has been The Art of Wrestling. For Colt Cabana, I'm Colt Cabana. Thanks.